It's a very nice night here at Turner Field in Atlanta. Very little chance of rain this evening. Very, very pleasant indeed as we welcome you to Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell. It's the Atlanta Braves who've run hot and cold all summer, going for a 3-game sweep over the suddenly sliding Oakland A's. Oakland came into Atlanta with the best record in baseball. Now they've not only lost 4 in a row, they began the day percentage points behind the Angels, second place in the West, although the Angels have already lost today to Texas. But the A's have John Lester on the mound tonight, and since his acquisition from Boston, he is 3-0, and he's already beaten the Braves once this season. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Atlanta. Great to have you along. I'm Dave O'Brien. I'm in for Dan Schulman tonight, but John Kruk is back, as he always is on Sunday. And, Crucky, you do not sense that the A's, as we were inside their clubhouse, are panicking right now at the skid they're in, and they do have Lester on the bump tonight, and isn't this exactly why they got him?
Well, this is the reason why they got him, not only to pitch in big games, hopefully in the postseason, but to stop losing streaks. And John Lester, to me, is the right guy to do that. Once he established he could throw his cutter away to right-handed hitters, he has had phenomenal success with the cutter away and in to right-handed hitters. That's why he was so dominant last season in the postseason and why he's been that good this year. And he has to be, because with the trade of Yoenis Cespedes for John Lester, the Oakland A's offense is scoring a run and a half less than what they were before the trade. They need some offense if they're going to win this division and take over from the Anaheim Angels.
Well, Lester, throughout his career, has been outstanding in snapping losing skids for his team. He's going to try and do it tonight for the Oakland Athletics. Now, for the Atlanta Braves, they're certainly not out of it inside the National League East race, but it's the wild card they really had their eyes on. There they are right now, 2 games behind both the Cardinals and the Giants and the Pittsburgh Pirates, 59 games to go. We bring in Doug Glanville now. Doug, they need a couple of hot bats to stay hot right now.
Well, Dave, absolutely. Despite their offensive inconsistency, their 3-4 punch has been rock solid. Freddie Freeman has been a balanced hitter, become an elite RBI machine, and then they have Justin Upton, who's destroyed pitching right here at Turner Field, with leading the team in home runs and RBIs. But for the leadoff, you have to set the table. Jason Hayward has been called upon to do just that. So they've struggled out of that top of the order, and if you're going to beat John Lester, you have to get on base.
All right, thanks, Doug. So it's the last game of the series. The roller coaster Braves who went away from the sweep. The A's eager to snap a losing skid, and it's coming up on Sunday Night Baseball. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is presented by Taco Bell Breakfast. Wake up, live Mas. Starting lineups and the first pitch are coming up next.
celebrating our 25th season as the national game of the week. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball.
The presentation of the lineup cards tonight here at Turner Field between the A's and the Atlanta Braves. Great to have you with us, Freddie Gonzalez. Fourth year at the helm for Atlanta. Up against Bob Melvin, the skipper of the Oakland Athletics. Trying to get back into first place tonight. And because of what the Angels did, losing dramatically, they have that opportunity to get sole possession again. We take a look at his starting lineup, brought to you by Taco Bell. And for Oakland at the very top, it's Coco Crisp. He has really been fighting it in recent days. Johnny Gomes in left field. Josh Donaldson, the third baseman, hit 25 home runs.
Yeah, not hitting for a high average, but the home runs, the RBIs, they are all there for Josh Donaldson. He's the guy right now with Cespedes out that has to be that impact player, Dave.
Derek Norris doing the catching. Then it's Moss, Nate Fryman, Callaspo at second base, Andy Perino at shortstop, and John Lester, the pitcher, looking for his first career hit. And up against the left-hander Mike Minor, he is 4-8. And after going 13-9 last season, Crucky, this season has been a tough one for Minor.
It's really been a tough one, especially against left-handed batters, hitting almost 390 off of him during this season. But Oakland only has that one lefty in the lineup besides John Lester, and that's Brandon Moss. So, you know, if there's a bright side to this start for Mike Minor, it's the fact that he's going to be facing a lot of righties in this Oakland lineup.
No, the A's obviously having a difficult time of it for one of the only times all season long, because they are 7-9 here in the month of August. They're not used to this. Most consecutive months over 500 since 95. The Yankees 20 straight months. September of 96 through April of 2000. The Braves 20 straight months. 97 through May of 2000. The Giants 16 in a row. And this Oakland A team, a current streak of 14 straight months. That began in June of 2012, but 7-9 this month, so it's in jeopardy.
Yeah, it is in jeopardy. But I think, you know, mentioned in the open, they have the right guy on the mound to stop this losing streak of 4 games and avoid a sweep by the Atlanta Braves.
It's Oakland's first appearance on Sunday Night Baseball since May of 2006. When they lost to the Rangers in Arlington. The only team with a longer current streak without playing on Sunday night is Toronto. You guys are getting to them.
We
put them on the list.
That could happen, but they're not playing too good right now, so that might not happen, but who knows. But yeah, and the Oakland players were excited. I saw Josh Donaldson before the game. He was excited to be on Sunday night. Then I told him we were on again next week, and he's like, oh, that's right, I forgot. We got 2 weeks in a row.
We were asking Bob Melvin about John Lester and having him available every 5th day, and he said he was an absolute pain in the neck when we had to face him. We're delighted he's on our side now, and he's trying to go to 4-0 as an Oakland A.
He just doesn't lose much, does he? And, you know, we kind of, over the last few years, diminished the wins, but his other numbers are as good as his win total is.
And ready for the first pitch from Mike Minor. Coco Crisp getting in, hitting .253. And always a threat to steal if he can get on. Oakland's outfielders are actually hitless in this series. They're 0 for 17. And he takes a strike. Coco, of course, a switch batter. We talked about this during the open. In the 16 games, as that one is raked fair down the line, that's going to roll all the way in the corner. Coco Crisp heading for second. They have not been getting a lot of that in the 16 games since they dealt away Yoenis Cespedes. Coco in particular had really been scuffling.
Yeah, hitting only 110 since July 9th, but this is the start that Bob Melvin wanted for his offense right here. Coco Crisp, just an 0-1 fastball right down the middle of the plate. I mean, you know, guys who are struggling, that's the pitch that you look for and hope to get, which when you're struggling, you don't get that pitch, but he did right there. He got ahead of it. He hit a double down the line, and now Oakland's in business. See if Johnny Gomes can get him over.
Johnny hitting .236, 6 homers. It is outside for a ball. Minor facing the Oakland A's for the first time in his career. He's 0-3 in interleague play.
An important thing for Mike Minor is can he damage control here? If Coco Chris scores, okay, I'll give you one, but I'm not going to give you a bunch. If he can keep Coco Chris from scoring right here, now you have to think my confidence is an all-time high. Atlanta Braves got to be pretty happy about that, but not a good start for a guy who's been struggling this year in Mike Minor.
Now the A's have scored 3 runs or less 12 times in the last 16 games. So the offense has really scuffled. This one popped into shallow right. Out goes Gosselin. Hayward coming on, and he'll make the catch. He covers a lot of ground out there. That is out number 1. He's really one of the great outfielders in Major League Baseball today defensively.
Yeah, without question. And that's the issue you have right here with this Oakland lineup is Johnny Gomes hitting second. Coco Crispy's off for double. Johnny Gomes is not a guy that hits the ball the other way. He's pretty much a dead pull hitter. That was his attempt of trying to hit the ball the other way. Gets jammed, hits a pop-up. Hayward, like you said, Dave, he covered a ton of ground to get to that ball. And now you have to think if you're Mike Minor, I can work myself out of this thing.
Well, after the leadoff double, 1 down, here's Donaldson. 25 homers. He's driven in 84 runs and 13 home runs against lefties. That is number 1 in the majors. And he takes high for a ball. Talking about how many the Braves have left. 39 games remaining for Atlanta.
Seems like the season just started. Now it's almost over.
Derek Norris on deck. Throw into second base, but Coco back in easily. Donaldson has had his issues in recent days. Last 60 games only hitting .221 with 8 homers after he hit 17 in their first 60 games. Another one up top for a ball.
You look at that gap in left center field, and Josh Donaldson's power to left center and left field. You got to think that if you're hitting right now, you look at where B.J. Upton's playing in center field. You have to think, okay, they have to pitch me away.
2-0 pitch, and that one on the corner.
Away. All 3 pitches have been away. Now I think if I'm Josh Donaldson, I'm going to start leaning out that way and try to drive something to right center field.
.319 with men in scoring position. Trying to pick up the first run here with 1 man out, the 2-1. Now a very nice hitter's count.
It's a nice hitter's count. Most of the time you're looking middle in 3-1 to try to hit it out of the ballpark. Again, I'll repeat, if I'm Josh Donaldson, I'm taking away the middle half of the plate to the middle or in and just looking out. Look away and hopefully you get something out there. If he comes in, you tip your cap to him.
And now Gaddis out from behind there, and we'll be out for a mound visit here with Minor.
1's a fastball, 2's a curve. Second sign after 1.
Freddie Gonzalez's team has been on such a roller coaster all summer long. The 3-1 from Minor. It's a piece of it.
Well, that's a pitch right there. You're Josh Donaldson sitting 3-1. I mean, this is a pitch to hit. Looks like it's a changeup, though, by Mike Minor, but it's still up in the strike zone. And you see the swing. It's a 3-1 pull swing. You see how his top hand rolled over, his hips opened up. He was looking to pull that. And now 3-2. Now it's you battle. And I still think you have to try to hit it the other way.
The payoff from the lefty, and up high they check, and he did not swing. So Donaldson on, and that'll put runners at first and second for Oakland.
Well, they weren't going to give Josh Donaldson anything to pull. So you see the pitch sequence here by Minor. Breaking ball, breaking ball, 2-0. Then a fastball, 2-1, down and away. Then another breaking ball away. You see the pattern, away. Once he missed that pitch, and Gaddis thinks, okay, we can come in. Problem is, Minor didn't miss in. He missed up and away. I think if he got that pitch in because of all the 5 previous pitches away, he might have caught Donaldson by surprise.
Now they'll send up Norris, 285, 10 homers, and another guy very tough on lefties, 352. And that'll miss for ball 1.
And a quick bat. I was watching his at bat last night against Craig Kimbrough, and he took a 98-mile-an-hour fastball and buggy whipped one down the third baseline, just foul. Pitch in on him. Not middle in, I mean in.
Crisp and Donaldson on the bases. A strike at 86. And you can really see Minor slowing everything down with men on base, being very deliberate in this spot.
Well, he can't be careless. He doesn't have that overpowering stuff right now to just say, okay, I can throw it by you. He has to pitch like he is right now, try to hit corners and hope they chase, and hope he can make the Oakland A's become aggressive.
Chopper and a foul ball. 1-2, so Minor gets in front. Minor had been pitching so poorly with an ERA over 9 over 4 starts that the Braves skipped him in the rotation, and they brought him back to face the Dodgers on Tuesday. He took the loss, but he pitched well, 6 2/3, 7 strikeouts. And the Braves were very encouraged by that outing against an outstanding lineup. Norris gets the time from Ted Barrett. One ball and 2 strikes, 1 out, 2 on. Hot shot and backhand by Johnson. He made the catch out of the air for out number 2. He has already been busy over there at third base.
Well, and that's the quick bat I was telling you about Derek Norris. And Minor, one of the rare pitches, he tries to come inside, and he does get it inside. 93 miles an hour. I mean, look like it's cutting inside, but look at Norris. He gets the bat head out, and he hit his location. See how quickly that ball got to Chris Johnson. A great play. I don't know if you're Mike Minor, you're thinking, one more.
Brandon Moss, the right fielder, 255, dangerous with 23 homers, 76 RBIs. Picking it up here in the last 4 games, 7 out of 13. In there for a strike. Left-hand batters really beating up on Minor. What do you attribute that to?
Well, you see his repertoire right now is he hasn't been able to command the inside part of the plate except that last pitch to Derek Norris. And pitches are coming into lefties. It's a lot easier to hit than going away.
Second baseman bobbles it. Gosselin has it back and throws on to get him at first base. So Minor survives that, and here comes John Lester, 3-0 right now, trying to go to 4-0 as a member of the Oakland Athletics. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell, is brought to you by Audi. Truth in engineering. Little bark in the park here in Atlanta. They can bring their dogs here to Turner Field on a lovely Sunday evening. John Lester on the hill tonight for the Oakland A's. He is 13-7, a .251 ERA, pitching in his adopted hometown here in Atlanta. Wow. He's from Tacoma, Washington, but he makes Atlanta home.
And I'm sure the Braves would like to have him when he becomes a free agent, but that might not happen. But, I mean, you see the numbers. He's just established himself as a legitimate #1 starting pitcher. And I think his performance last year in the postseason just kind of iced that thing for him, how great he pitched and how dominating he was.
Here's a look at the lineup he will face with Jason Hayward leading things off here. It's brought to you by Taco Bell. Hayward, then Gosselin, Freddie Freeman, Justin Upton, Chris Johnson, Evan Gattis, Andrelton Simmons, the outstanding shortstop, back in that lineup. B.J. Upton in center, and Mike Minor, the pitcher, batting ninth against the tough 6'4" lefty. Hayward hitting .266. Look at this differential between lefties and righties for him.
Yeah, and he's the only guy that's ever has hit a home run this year, left-handed batter, off of John Lester. You can see why he's struggling to hit lefties. Lester just staying away and staying away. That's the toughest pitch, lefty to lefty, is that pitch down and away.
The 0-2. Just got a piece of that. Hayward is 4 for 6, 2 doubles and a homer off Lester. The Braves have faced a major league low 23 left-handed starters before tonight. They are 13-10 against them. He would not chase. 1-2. Phil Gosselin, who's at second base, just called up in late July, a rookie, is on deck. Punch down the line, pretty well hit. Gomes on the run for the corner, lunges, sliding, and what a play Johnny Gomes made. He held on to the ball as he went sliding into that sidewall. An outstanding catch for the first out.
I would have thought we'd be talking about Johnny Gomes and his defense, but what a play. I mean, this is a tough play. You're running toward the wall. You know you have no choice but to slide. You have to go into that feet first slide to protect yourself from running head first into that wall. And he did the bounce, a little stick and bounce. I mean, that's the way he plays. That's the way he has to play.
Earned a nice cut on that arm.
Yeah, that'll bandage up and feel good. Good later.
In there for a strike on Gosselin, who's at 320 with a homer, 2 RBIs since they recalled him. 4 out of 8 in this series. Rookie out of Westchester, Pennsylvania, and he's played well. He homered here on Friday night. First career home run at the big league level.
Quite a thrill to get that first one out of the way so early in his young career.
The 0-2 from the big lefty. Gosselin, a guy who can play several positions, short, third, second. Called that home run the biggest of his career, bigger than the one he hit off of Steven Strasburg in the NCAA tournament. Gosselin attended the University of Virginia.
And they've been pretty good the last few years at Virginia.
Outstanding basketball program as well.
They're not Carolina.
Little chopper behind the bag. Short hop stab by Donaldson and gets him. So 2 down in front of the very dangerous Freddie Freeman. Freeman launched a 3-run homer in the 3rd inning on Friday to break the game open. His 17th, put the Braves up 5-0, a game that wins 7-2. That homer, the 3rd of 4 Braves home runs. Second 4 home run game of this homestand. Last 10 games, look at how hot he is.
Well, and this is what the Atlanta Braves need. And I think, along with Justin Upton, as Freddie Freeman goes, so does this Braves offense. And we can talk all we want about the inconsistency of the leadoff hitter, the inconsistencies of their second hitter. These two guys hit. Those first and second guys should get pitches to hit, and when their turn comes up to bat.
They overshift, 3 men stacked on the right side here for the A's.
And the outfielders are playing him to hit the ball the other way. Pull on the ground and in the air the other way.
1-2. Some people were ready to throw dirt on this ball club, this Atlanta team, following their historically bad 0-8 West Coast trip. But they came back to Atlanta. They took 2 out of 3 from Washington, a first-place team, before dropping 3 out of 4 to the Dodgers. Now they've bounced back here, and they are poised to sweep the Oakland A's, who came to Turner Field with the best record in baseball. So good luck trying to figure out the Atlanta Braves.
Well, you can't, because they're a lineup predicated on home runs, and home runs don't come of that as often as you would like. And I'm sure Freddie Freeman likes to see him hit 3 or 4 a night, but that just doesn't happen. And when they're not hitting homers, they do struggle to score runs. And their pitching staff, their starting staff has been beat up this year as far as injuries.
The 2-2. And in there, got him looking. And a quick start for Lester. He strikes out Freeman and gets them in order. John Lester trying to snap a 4-game A's skid here tonight in Atlanta. Back in Atlanta, no score after an inning. Sunday night baseball, the Braves against the Oakland Athletics. And here's one of the great defenders in baseball, Hayward in right field. Simmons, the shortstop, as good as it gets. For more on that story, let's get it down to Doug Lanville.
Yeah, we talked earlier before the game to manager Freddie Gonzalez, and he said Jason Hayward just wants the ball. He lives off of want and his desire to catch everything. But let's talk about what he actually does. When you talk about navigating the wall, he's one of the best in the game. Ball, wall, ball. He knows where the ball is. He picks up the wall, orients himself, and jumps. And he's got that huge frame, the great athleticism to navigate any situation. So you think about Jason Hayward, you think about great play and great wall play.
All right, Doug, thank you very much. Nate Fryman in, first baseman, 205 with 2 home runs. And one of the things Freddie said was when he made a spectacular catch earlier this season, came back to the dugout, and a teammate asked him, you had no business getting there. How did you make that play? And that's exactly what Doug was referencing. He said, because I wanted to make that catch very badly.
Yeah, and, just like we saw in the first inning with Johnny Gomes.